Have you ever stopped to think about how your body is pulling off trillions of chemical reactions like every single second without you even noticing? Well, the secret lies with these microscopic heroes called enzymes. So let's dive in and see how these tiny powerhouses are literally the accelerators of life itself.
Okay, so imagine trying to run a marathon, but every single step takes you an entire week to complete. It sounds crazy, right? But that's pretty much what your body would be like without enzymes. See, the hard truth is that the chemical reactions we need to stay alive, everything from digesting food to just thinking, are naturally, and I mean shockingly slow. So just how slow are we actually talking about here? Let's take just one simple reaction happening in your body right now. If you had to just wait for it to happen all on its own, with no help at all, how long do you think you'd be waiting? A couple of seconds? Maybe a few minutes? Go on, take a guess.
Yeah, the answer is days, or even weeks, for just one simple reaction. At that pace, digesting the breakfast you had this morning could take decades. Life would just be stuck in this permanent, ultra-slow motion replay. And that really shows you the massive problem that biology needed to solve.
So, if life's default setting is basically glacial pace, how on earth do we operate in real time? Well, the answer is in nature's own catalysts, its very own incredible team of accelerators. It's time to meet the hero of our story. And here it is, the enzyme. At its heart, an enzyme is a type of protein that works as a biological catalyst. The best way to think of it is like a highly specialized worker on an assembly line. Its only job is to grab specific molecules and just dramatically speed up their chemical reactions, all without getting used up in the process. Honestly, this is the perfect way to picture what's going on. A reaction without an enzyme is the tortoise. Yeah, it's slow, it's steady, but it is way too sluggish for life. But then you add an enzyme, boom, you get the hare. The reaction is suddenly millions of times faster, happening in just a tiny fraction of a second. And the really crucial thing to get here is that enzymes aren't just some nice-to-have performance boost. No, they are absolutely essential. Without them, core processes like turning food into energy would just grind to a halt. Life as we know it just couldn't exist, period. So, we've established they're incredibly fast and they're absolutely vital. But how do they actually work? How does an enzyme know exactly which reaction to speed up and which ones to leave alone? Well, the answer lies in this really beautiful and simple analogy, the lock and key. First, let's just get a couple of key terms straight. The molecule that an enzyme is designed to work on, that's called the substrate. And that special little docking port on the enzyme where the whole thing happens, that's called the active site. Remember those two? They're the main characters here.
And this is where it all clicks. The whole relationship, the whole interaction between an enzyme and its substrate, it really is just like a lock and a key.
So think of that enzyme's active site as a very, very specific lock. It's got this totally unique, intricate shape, and you can be sure that not just any old key is going to fit into it. And the substrate, well, that's the one and only key that has been perfectly crafted to fit into that one specific lock. I mean, other keys might look kind of similar, but only the right one is going to slide in and actually turn the mechanism. And this isn't just a cute comparison, it's physically true. All that specificity comes from the unique 3D shape of the enzyme's active site. It's literally folded in a way that perfectly matches its target substrate. This is how it makes sure it only grabs and works on the exact right molecule. It's precision engineering. So let's walk through the whole dance. First, the substrate bumps into the enzyme and binds to the active site. It's a perfect fit. Then the enzyme works its magic, helping the chemical reaction along. And finally, it releases the new products. And here's the best part. The enzyme itself is totally unchanged, ready to do the whole thing over and over and over again. But these powerful little machines, they don't just work anywhere, anytime. They're actually highly tuned and, well, a little bit sensitive. For them to do their job properly, conditions have to be just right. What kind of conditions are we talking about? Well, the two big ones are temperature and pH levels. Every enzyme has its own perfect range. If it gets too hot, or if its surroundings get too acidic or too alkaline, the enzyme's delicate 3D shape starts to fall apart. We call this denaturing. And once that lock changes shape, the key doesn't fit anymore, and the enzyme just stops working. So as we start to wrap this up, let's bring it all back home. These enzymes, they're not just random helpers floating around.
They are the fundamental engines that are driving every single process inside your body right now.
You know, there's a common myth that enzymes get used up in a reaction, kind of like fuel in a car. But that's just not true. The amazing fact is they are true catalysts. They get the job done, release the product, and are instantly ready for the next one. They are unbelievably efficient and completely reusable. So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Every single second, trillions of these perfect tiny machines are performing their incredible lock and key dance inside of you, keeping you alive and keeping you going. Which really makes you wonder, what happens when these fundamental engines of life start to break down?